When it comes to whitetail hunting packs, I've tried probably more than I can count. I feel like every year I think I've found the one that I'm gonna love, and I end up switching the following season. I still have several of them that I'm kind of deciding between. Three of the ones that I like the best are the Sitka Tool Bucket, the Kuiu Venture Divide 3000, and the First Lite Transfer pack. And hopefully if you're deciding between these three packs or looking at any one of these packs, this will help you make a purchasing decision. So we'll start out first with the one that I've used for the longest amount of time, and that's the Sitka Tool Bucket. I've had this pack for about 2 years, and it's a great layout, a great design. Sitka does a really good job of really thinking through their products. Some things that I really love about it is it's a good size for the all-purpose whitetail pack. It's not huge, but it's not too small. You can put just enough in it for most of the season. The layout is really smart and has a unique design, which kind of allows you to organize your gear really well in the tree. It's also super lightweight and is made of really quiet materials. Those are all things that I love about this pack. The things I wasn't so crazy about with this pack are just durability concerns. I think the quiet fabric is great, but it comes with some lighter weight mesh and some softer materials that tend to snag on things. I have a couple little tears in the water bottle pockets on the sides and a little bit of wear and tear. Another con is that the lid design on this pack is good in one way and bad in another way. Personally, I don't love it after some years of use. Basically, it's designed to hang open like this in the tree, which is supposed to allow you to access these pockets, and then you can open this up and this flips down, so you have full access to everything that's inside the pack. Unfortunately, the con that kind of goes hand in hand with that is that this lid doesn't really seal that well. When the pack is almost empty, it kind of has like this awkward gap here as you compress the pack. And then as it gets very full later in the season, you end up with the lid kind of sticking out, and this bungee that holds it closed isn't quite strong enough to keep it really closed. This also has a rigid material in the lid, which doesn't allow this again to really compress and seal the pack. These upper side zippers that keep the lid sealed, I find that they're not secure enough. When you pull on this, it opens very easily, and so I felt like they were always coming open on me, and this was always open into my pack. Quite often I'd have branches and things stuck in my pack. Not a huge deal, just something that I wasn't totally crazy about. Another downside of this pack is that the structure and design is built for people who are going to a tree stand primarily, especially people who are going to fixed location tree stands where you're not doing a hang and hunt where you're carrying sticks and a platform and everything like that. So it has no waist belt and it has no frame structure, which is great for reducing weight. Unfortunately, it does not carry a load very well. There's no way to put a waist belt on here, so you're definitely not going to be doing something crazy like packing meat out in this. And even I found with 3 or 4 climbing sticks and a saddle hunting platform, once I started to get more clothing in this later in the season, it just wasn't carrying a load the way that I personally like it to. And because there's no waist belt, you're really feeling all that weight on your shoulders. So for me personally, the way I hunt, this would be a great early to mid-season pack. Once you get to the later part of the rut, if you get a cold snap and you're packing a lot of clothing, you end up with just stuff strapped all over the pack, top, bottom, back, and with a mobile hunting system, doing hang and hunts with a saddle or a stand, plus all that clothing, this pack just isn't built to carry that capacity. So next we're going to talk about the First Lite Transfer pack. This is a newer pack and the one of these 3 that I have the least experience with. I think what it does exceptionally well is it's super comfortable and has a legit frame with load lifters, so it can really carry a load well. I think if you're carrying a heavy tree stand and sticks, tons of clothing, or even packing out meat would certainly be a possibility in this pack. It carries weight extremely well, has a padded waist belt with really nice pockets. The foam that they used here is extremely comfortable and has good airflow. I think it's just a really great pack for someone who tends to bring more stuff to the tree, if you want to say a maximalist compared to a minimalist. I think the overall design of this pack is fairly similar to the Tool Bucket. I think it improves on it in a lot of ways, but is kind of designed for a different person. It's definitely better as you get later into the season because of the capacity. I think early in the season it's completely overkill because it's a very large pack. Which can be good once you have a ton of clothing that you're stuffing down inside of it, or if you're bringing a tree stand and sticks and all that stuff, this is going to accommodate that. Unfortunately, I think early in the season when I'm not bringing much in the way of clothing, it's just a lot of pack for what I need. And unlike some Western hunting packs or the Kuiu pack that I'm going to discuss later, these side panels are more rigid and it doesn't compress It's very small. It's designed to hang open just like the tool bucket. These zip down. There's a lot of internal pockets on the lid, on the outside of the pack. I think my favorite feature on this pack are these two large pockets here that can hold something as large as a Nalgene bottle or a coffee thermos. So there's tons of external storage. It has huge water bottle pockets on the side. And then there's two pockets up here on the lid that I also really like that are fairly large. Something else, if you're a saddle hunter, especially if you're using the same platform as me, which is the tethered Predator platform, your saddle platform can kind of nest in under here. I hook it on the bottom here, and when I clip this and tighten it, it holds that platform in place. And then when you put the sticks on, there's all this material between the sticks and the platform, so there's no metal on metal contact, and it really carries things fairly nicely. I feel like some of the materials on the inside just feel a little bit cheap. They're a little bit rough and noisy. I don't know, it just doesn't match the quality of the outside of the pack, in my opinion, even though I still really like the pack overall. And the other thing I don't like is that some of the strap design here is a little confusing to me. So they used 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch straps here instead of the full inch straps used on the rest of the pack. And those are the ones that would be holding your sticks. I like a thicker strap that I can really feel and grab with my gloved hand in colder weather to really cinch down and make sure they're tight. And then they used open G hooks on the sides here, which just seem like they have a lot of potential for noise. Again, with gloved hands, when your hands are cold, they're not as easy to operate. So that's something that I wouldn't have chosen. I kind of like just regular buckle straps a little bit better. Another unique thing about this one is that it does have some MOLLE attachment points here, as well as on the bottom. So if you wanted to attach more pockets and needed even more volume, you could certainly do that. And then we're gonna move on to the Kuiu Venture Divide 3000. And this is a pack that I did a review on last year. If you haven't seen that, I will link it down in the description. So I think that this pack strikes the best balance between those two. So the First Lite pack is very large and has a full frame and padded straps and a waist belt. And then the Tool Bucket is made of very light materials, has no frame, has no waist belt. I think this pack kind of strikes a balance in between. It has a frame that's very rigid. It's an internal frame, has very comfortable, strong shoulder straps, has a very solid waist belt. But the awesome thing about this pack is the waist belt is completely removable from the system. You simply pull it out, it Velcros in, pulls completely out of the system. So if you're using a saddle that has side pouches and they're on your saddle, you don't want a waist belt, you can very easily pull that out of the system. And then if you find yourself carrying a heavy load or you're packing meat or anything like that, you can put the waist belt on and that will help you carry that heavier weight. The advantage to this pack is, as you can see, it's very slim and very compressed. So early in the season when I'm not carrying clothes, I've got the frame and ability to carry weight if I'm carrying my sticks and platform for a mobile hunt, but I can compress this so there's not a bunch of empty volume on my back that I don't need. And then later in the season, you can loosen these straps and you have that full 3,000 cubic inch capacity. So there's a ton of volume, but when you don't need the volume, it doesn't feel overkill, it doesn't feel bulky, it compresses very nicely. This is the pack that's actually my choice of the three. I really like all three, but if I only had to choose one pack, I think this is the one that could cover all of your bases from early season all the way to late season. It has everything you need. It has the waist belt, it has the structure. I think some of the cons for this pack are just it has noisier materials. It's made of Cordura. Maybe you can hear that. It's not as quiet as the other two. It doesn't have as many external access pockets for when you're in the tree like these other two packs have that are designed strictly for whitetail hunting. And then the only other con that I can think of is that, as I mentioned in my in-depth review, these buckles concern me a little bit. It's not one strap that goes all the way around the pack for compression, it's two separate straps, and that's putting a lot of pressure on this zipper and on this buckle. I haven't had any issues with it breaking down or causing any problems. It's just something that I could see being an issue potentially if you had a lot of weight in here and you were really cranking it down. So in conclusion, I think the Sitka pack is best for someone who finds themselves carrying less. It's a great early season pack. As you get later into the season, you're carrying more clothing and bulkier items. It just falls a little bit short in that area for me. The First Lite pack has all the volume you could want, all the structure you could want, and carries a load incredibly well. I just think that it's a little bit overkill for probably the first half of the season. Once you get into the rut and later, the temps start dropping and you're bringing bibs and jackets, I think that's a great pack as well. And then the Kuiu Venture Divide kind of hits the sweet spot in between. It's a little bit noisy, isn't designed ground up for whitetail hunting, so it doesn't have some of the features and pockets that the other two have, but I think it's an all-around do-it-all pack, and this is the one that I'm gonna be choosing for this season. So I hope that was helpful. If you're deciding between these 3 packs or you're looking at any one specific one of these packs, I hope that it helped you make a purchasing decision. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.